We were at the Heisman ceremony,
Mhm.
spending some time together. We were talking, and you started at Tennessee State. I asked you, like, yo, how did you get into coaching, man? And you told me an amazing story. So I want you to share it on the podcast, man. How you kind of got started, how you got the job at Tennessee State, and how you made it to now being the head coach at Bowling Green.
Well, prior to me jumping into the profession, I was doing things on Broadway. I have a wealth management business that I run, and this was during COVID, and I managed money for the AKA Foundation, and the president for the AKA Foundation was the former president for Tennessee State, Dr. Glenda Glover. And it was one day, out of the clear blue, she calls me and she says, "Hey, I'm calling for to ask you a question. I want you to have an open mind." So immediately I'm thinking, okay, she wants to ask me for money. All right, for some type of foundation. And then she says, "It's not for money." I said, "Okay." Probably wants me to help with the search of finding their coach because I heard on the news that they were thinking about going a different direction. Or I was thinking, hey, she wants to put more money into the account that we managed for her at the time. So I was like, yo, it's got to be good news. She hit me with, yeah, I'm gonna ask you to be the next head coach for Tennessee State. I'm looking at the phone like, what? You do know I've never coached, right? Like,
Right,
what are we talking about?
right.
So I said, you know what? I'm flattered, but I'll pray on it. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Hung up the phone. I said, listen, I'm not gonna do that. And my wife said, well, what's the matter? I said, listen, Glenda Glover had the audacity to ask me to be head coach for a football team. Like, come on, I've never coached. Then my wife said, well, why not? You'll be a great head coach.
Yeah.
I started thinking, like, well, what if I did do it? And how would I start a program? And ever since then, I started thinking about the impact I could possibly have on these young men and give back to the game that gave so much to me and more, to prepare them not for just football games, but for life after the game, like you're doing now in media, like I'm doing in coaching, like so many other guys find their next passion through the platform of football. And it took off like wildfire. It kept me up at night. I'm like, Mark, I'm like, please, Eddie, don't jump into coaching. You want to stay focused on acting and business. That's it. Lo and behold, I took the job and I fell in love with it. It was very hard. It was tough. It stretched me, but the gratification that I get out of seeing the kids get it on the field and seeing it come to life and building a program was nothing like it. So my first game, Mark, was against right down the street in Canton against Grambling State, in August of 21. We had 19 penalties. 19 penalties, which was a record. All right. Our final game against SEMO this past season to win the championship, we had two. So there was there's a lot of work, a lot of changes I had to do. I had to fire and hire coaches. I had to get rid of players. I had to go through some hard, tough days. But it prepared me like no
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
for coaching, and I love it, man. I absolutely love it.
Well, that's an amazing story, man. And it resonated with me, and I wanted you to tell the podcast. So I appreciate you sharing that,
No
man.
problem, brother. No
Yes,
problem.
sir.
How did this all come about, Coach? Because this is a late season hire, right? Rarely are head coaches hired in March. So give us
I want
the
to
quick
hear this.
yeah, give us the quick
Yeah,
timeline on how
I
you
know
went
you
from
too,
Tennessee
Urban.
State to Bowling Green.
So, actually, it was funny. I go up to Indianapolis and I'm at the combine and, just making my rounds, saying hello to people and watching the guys run and so forth. And I go back to my hotel room and I saw across the ticker that Scott left for the Eagles. And immediately I'm thinking to myself, wow, that is so messed up. Man, that's a tough situation that they're going to be in. I'm glad, I'm dealing with my stuff, but I'm glad I don't have to deal with that, right? So I get in my car, driving back to Nashville, enjoying my ride. Got on my actually I was listening to Above the Line by somebody. his book. No, I'm joking, but I did read it. It was a really good book. I took some stuff out of it too, by the way. But I'm driving back and I'm literally swear to God, I said, God, show me a sign. What do I need to do for next year to prepare? Because right now it's I'm in the last year of my deal. I'm not hearing much talk from Tennessee State, clearly because of their issues, and I'm wondering what's next for me in this profession. I'm driving past Bowling Green, Kentucky. I said, give me a sign. Literally gave me a sign. Driving past Bowling Green, Kentucky, I see Bowling Green. I look down at my phone. I see Urban text me. It's like, okay. He says, hey, would you be interested in the Bowling Green job? I said, I text him, I'm driving. Call me. Calls me, and we're talking. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. He says, hey, the AD called me, he asked me to help him with the search, and there's only one name that I gave him, and that's you. And I was like, oh damn, okay, all right. You get an endorsement from Urban Meyer,
Uh,
you have to take that call. You gotta explore it. And it was not given. Okay. It was other candidates. I think there was 28 other candidates they looked at. I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I know about his history here at BG. The other coaches I played against Bowling Green when I was in college. I had my first touchdown against them, ironically, my freshman year, and off it went like wildfire. Then I got a phone call from um, one of the search firms to do it. So that whole week, from that moment on till right now, was a complete whirlwind of interviews. I went out to Arizona on a vacation. Uh, it was a world. I spent almost 10 grand just to go on this vacation before spring ball to only get a massage, and then I fly to Detroit to do an interview for this job. Okay, and lo and behold, it happened. And now I'm here in Bowling Green, um, delving in headfirst with the staff, knowing the players, getting the true lay of the land of what needs to be accomplished, get done, and get this thing off on the right track. So it was an amazing whirlwind, man, of events that I'm sitting here right now. But it's all due to that guy, Urban Meyer, that I'm sitting in this seat right now because he gave me a vote of confidence that it was a good opportunity and just where the program is now. And if he can see value in what I've done, I gotta take that call.
So I want to clarify that this is, when Derek, the athletic director, gave me a call. I don't know him, never met him before, and we were just talking, and I said, well, give me an hour. He said, do you have some candidates? And I said, give me an hour, and and I kind of started thinking, because I have some other friends in the profession that we did talk about some other names, but I said, what are you looking for? And here's what I really want you to hit. This is going to be your trademark, which the one thing about football teams, when you hear the word culture in retail or corporate America, it's hard to really feel it. College football, you feel that culture every Saturday when that team jogs on the field. You can see it, you can hear it, and you can feel it. And so I said, Eddie, I know we're friends, but they've asked me to do a job. I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. And we asked a couple questions about his family and all that. And I said, okay, BG walks on that field. I'm sitting in the suite or upstairs and watching that thing. What am I going to see? What am I going to hear? And what am I going to feel when the orange and brown come running out on that field? Tell them what you said about the downhill. And Mark, you're going to love this, bro. When you hear this, go get it. I'm getting chills thinking about it.
Hey, there's one thing we're going to be is fast, physical, and discipline, and it's going to be duo, power, counter, repeat.
Repeat.
Everybody in the stadium will know what we're running. The question is, can you stop it? That's going to be the mindset. And Mark, as you know, man, listen, the sauce is made in the off season, man. The championships are won in the winter, the spring, and most definitely the summer.
Yes.
So you know how it's built. You know how it's built. The mat drills, the competition drills, hey, Urban, you want to appreciate this. There's a field, like a couple fields side by side that's gated. It might not have been gated when you were here, but for summer camp, I'm gonna let that grass grow high.
That's it.
The first 2 weeks, we're going to live in there in that pit and then hit that hill after practice.
Yes.
You gotta feel bad before you feel good. Yep.
Yes.
There we go. So
Yes.
that's the process, man. And I mean, I'm excited because these kids are excited because I had to get in front of them and really address the elephant in the room of where we are. All of us are not feeling really good about the change, the transition, how it transpired. I had to tell my team that I'm leaving to go to another job, and why. And that was painful. Coaches, painful. But I said, hey, this is where we're going to find out what we're made of right here. How mentally tough are we? We're made for a moment like this because here we are. Now the question is, but when we leave this room, who are we going to be? What do we choose to do about this? Are we going to attack it and become closer and really focus on building a strong relationship and getting through this? Or are we just going to fracture and dismantle and run away from it? And, I said other few things, but I think it resonated with those guys. And now they're committed to, hey, we're going to dig our heels in and get the process rolling. And it's going to be something when we were all out there in that stadium on Saturday in the fall, I don't know how good we're going to be, but they're going to understand that they've been played, they played BG for sure. No questions asked.